see. My, how about now? There, I think it finally started to go. Well, anyway, who knows what you've heard or what you have not heard, and it's just welcome to modern technology as things that we start working with. So welcome if I did not get around to the first time around and you were not welcomed. I do want to welcome you here to joining us for It's Time to Excel. And of course, Hammy is going to be our special guest today. He is here because he's on a mission. He wants to help us turn our Hamiltons into Benjamins into 2021. So how in the world are we going to do that? Last time I was kind of talking a little bit about that pesky four-letter word called budget. And that's one of the ways we're going to do that. And I know sometimes it gets a little overwhelming. And we talked a little bit on how you can kind of create some of that budget and some tips and some starting points for those budgets. And what you want to do is you really want to start getting a handle on how money is going in and out of your business. But better yet, start telling your money how you want it to go in and out of your business. Boy, that's a novel concept. And that's exactly what a budget is going to do. So we're going to start budgeting for Benjamins, not Hamiltons, and kind of working through there. We're going to start taking a proactive approach. And the first step to doing that, of course, is understanding your budget, and a realistic one. And you don't just get to have one, you got to look at it occasionally too. And it's more than occasional. You've got to have it as part of your normal routine. Your routine to go in and take a look at that budgeting. Figure out where you think your money is going to go. And then that's at the beginning of the month. Then at the end of the month, you're going to go back and see how close you got, because that's your roadmap. That is the first step to start looking for those Benjamins, because you've got to know what's going on. You've got to get that figured out. And of course, the first step of that is you've got to be tracking everything. I know that dreads for a lot of folks, but you do. You have got to get all those numbers tracked, and you've got to find a system that is going to work for you. We talked about some options, about what options are out there. You can play whack-a-mole with the various options that are available. Of course, most of you are very aware that I use QuickBooks Online. It's one of the tools that I have in my tool belt that makes my life a little bit easier. And I actually can create a budget directly out of QuickBooks Online, depending on what subscription status that you're at. Budgeting is actually one of the features that's built into that software. Depends on where you're at, depends on where your business is at. You know what I used for years until I moved over to QuickBooks Online? An Excel spreadsheet. Surprise, surprise, and I know that's going to shock most of you. Anybody that does not know me would be like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's Excel. That's my second language. So if you know me, that's where I go often. So I just run it right through on an Excel spreadsheet. And it allows me to start taking a look at where I think the money is going to go. I have an estimate of what I believe is going to come in for the month. And if you're on a salary, you know what your income is. If you're on a commission base, you may not know so much what that income is going to be, but you can definitely estimate it. And that's what we did. I would average out my husband's income for our personal side, and I would average it out and put it on with my salary. I knew what I was getting. It didn't matter if when I was in corporate, whether I was working 40 hours or 60 hours. I got the same paycheck. Welcome to being a salaried employee. Funny thing, boy, does that sound awful like a small business owner? Hopefully you've gotten to your point to get you onto a salary as a small business owner. But sometimes those incomes get a little up and down a little bit, and that's okay. That's okay. But what we do is we average. So you take a look at the last 12 months, and you get a feel for where you're at. And that becomes your goal. And that's the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to sit down there and you're going to put that out there so that you know kind of the direction that you're heading. And Bandit's going to get in the middle of it too, because he's just going to cry here, because apparently he needs to be chasing down some Benjamins too. And I think he's upset about that because his brothers are outside and he's inside, and he just figured out that they went outside without him. But that's just part of it. And we kind of continue going around from there. So nonetheless, so as we're starting to build this budget out, because we are starting to chase Benjamins, not Hamiltons, we've got to get our handle on what's going on. So we have figured out, and we've averaged out our income for the past 12 months and kind of got a feel like, okay, fine, this is how much I think is going to come in. The next step at the beginning of the month is to really start taking a look. If you've got $5,000 coming in that month, how do you want that $5,000 to be divvied out? So what do I mean by divvied out? Those envelopes that I mentioned. How can we break them up? Part of that income's got to go to taxes. So unless somebody's figured out a better way around that, part of that money is going to go to taxes. So you need to take that off and you need to move that out to that second golden piggy account where we need to jump that money out of our regular operating account and get it out of our sight, not exactly out of mind, but yes, out of mind for the most part until it's due. And then on top of that, what else do we need to account for? You guys remember, yes, one of the things that always gets to the bottom of the list that I say should be at the top of the list should be your pay. Out of that, how much is that going to be of your pay? Are you going to get 25% of that? Is it going to be a quarter of it? Is it going to be $1,000? Is it going to, whatever? You need to get that one moved out as well. You also got to take a smidgen out for profit because we are going to focus on building habits to make sure that we are profitable. And we can do that if we take one step at a time. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to move that away too. Now we can start seeing what's left. And after we take all those numbers off, maybe of that 5,000 coming in, I might be left with maybe 2,000, 2,500. I don't know. What's that number I'm left with? That's what I've got to run my business on. And now I've got to start figuring out what makes sense. I've got to start looking and saying, okay, I've got $2,500 to work with this month. Where am I going to spend that money? Do I have it yet? No, this is the beginning of the month. We're planning ahead. We're planning ahead. So let's take a look at that and see. So let's go and get a plan for where we want that money to go. So we go ahead and we pull that through. And now we have the starting point. And that is exactly what a budget does for us. And when we start budgeting, all of a sudden, Hamiltons will start to begin to turn to Benjamins because we've got a handle on these guys. And how does that work? One step at a time. But by creating and using a budget, that is the biggest step towards getting there. So how do we figure out this budget? What do we do? Of course, we're tracking everything. We're taking a look at it. So we look at the past to create the future. Okay, see if that makes sense. We look at the past. We see what we're up against. We see what we've spent. We see what our commitments are. We see where our loans are. We see a list of goes on and on. Once we see where all that's at, we can start to put broad categories together so that we can start planning for how much we have to work with. And here's the trick. If you're actually looking through and you know how much you have to work with, you can make a lot better decisions. If you know that you have of that let's say you have $2,500 left out of the income, at least from you've taken off your pay, you've taken out for taxes, you've taken out for some of those committed expenses that you know that are already there, what's left to work with? What are the operating expenses that you have left that you can actually work with going forward? And then you can determine, can you get into this advertising? Can you get this software? Do you need to start saving up for a certain software? Do you need to start saving up for a new computer, a new piece of equipment, new whatever? You can actually start to do that because now you're seeing the numbers. And sometimes it's just as easy to use a spreadsheet until you get it lined out because you can change those numbers very, very easy, especially in the figuring out phase. Once you figure it out, put it into the QuickBooks tool that's in your tool belt that you already have that you're just not taking advantage of, and use that as the reporting structure once you get it figured out, because now it's a couple clicks of a button and I can look instantaneously and see exactly where I'm sitting, exactly the direction that I need to go, and exactly if I'm overkilling some of those thoughts that I had, and maybe I've surpassed them. Well, if I've surpassed them in one area, guess what? I got to make it up from another area. But the key of using a budget is it allows me to know exactly where I'm at and the direction that I need to go and what decisions I need to make and do differently. Maybe I got to make a tough look and really take a look at, do I truly need this software that I'm using? What is the trade-off? The answer might be yes, the answer might be no. But now I can start looking at how my business is working and actually start to make educated decisions and some tough decisions that need to be made so that you can set yourself up for the financial success that your business should be bringing you. And that is definitely one way to do that. And I encourage you to really take a step back and understand how the budget's working. Understand how the numbers are coming in and out. And what are those numbers? Those incomes and expenses. And really see at the end of the month, at the end of the week, at the end of whatever, end of the month minimal, how'd things go? You know what you thought. Did you bring in as much income as you thought? Did something go haywire? Did you bring in more? And if you did brought in more, what are you going to do with that? You need to be, instead of just saying, oh, great, I got extra money, I can go do this. No, 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 no. You should already have on the back burner of that budget that extra income goes to A, B, and C. And one of those has to be an unexpected, quote unquote, emergency fund. You have got to figure out what that needs to be, because there's always something that's coming around the back corner that's going to catch you. They're inevitable. We don't know what they may be for sure, but they're coming. I talk about, Murphy and Mayhem coming in the front door, the back door, the side door, the windows, wherever. They come around, and they're here. I keep trying to convince Bear to stop making friends with them because he loves them and he, new playmate, and we're trying to work that out. Not sure about you, but that's my life. And you know what? It's okay. Sometimes you can make friends, and then you can shove them out the back door. But if you start to make plans and you start to have some of that cushion there, you don't panic when those little gremlins come in the door. You don't panic as badly because you can put your arm around them and just escort them right on out the door. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. And that's one of the first steps. So the budgeting is actually what's going to help us to start really budgeting for Benjamin, because we can start planning and increasing our profits by taking certain steps. One of the biggest steps to do is this budgeting process. Is it overwhelming? Is it confusing? It can be, but it doesn't have to be. It truly does not have to be. Where do you start? I get that question a lot. Where do we start? You've never done this before. You have no direction. You're like, okay, this is just too much. Start by taking a look at your profit and loss for the last year. Grab your bank statements. If you have to, put them together into a profit and loss. This is a very quick one. It doesn't have to be fine-tuned and detailed. It needs to be general. You've got to start somewhere. We've got to get a software in place that's going to help you to be able to get these reports at your fingertips. You've got to have them. You are a business owner. And as business owners, we've got to make sure we have some tools in place that are going to help us to do our job more effectively. And that's what we're going to do. So start there. Grab your tax information from last year. Whatever you have, start somewhere. Start with what you have. And then what we do is we start breaking that out. Look and see what kind of income's coming in. Where are you getting your income in ballparks? So in grand total, maybe you had $25,000 for the year. Take the $25,000, divide it by 12. There's your monthly allotment. Round it, call it close enough. That's your starting point. Start where you're at so you can move towards where you need to go. Once you do that, you repeat the process for the expense side. Take a look at the grand total. If you can figure out what some of the specifics were, whether it was advertising and marketing, whether it was insurance, whether it was taxes, anything that you can get the broad categories for, get that written down. Get that number in the system. If it was the yearly, if you are looking at your yearly tax return that was, put together, and whatever that year number was, divide it by 12. There's 12 months in a year. Let's make this simple. Do not make it complicated. Take that, get your numbers, get those broad categories: advertising and marketing, loans, rent, insurance, taxes. Your pay better be in there. If not, we're going to put a line in there. We're going to work on that one. Profit ain't in there. We're going to stick one in there, and we're going to start working on it. One little penny at a time, if that's what it takes. We will get there. We can get there one step at a time. Get all there. There's your starting point. There's your monthly budget. Fabulous. Now we have something to work towards. Let's assume last year is an indication of this year. Is it? We have no idea. It's okay. We got to start somewhere. Start there. That's your budget. At the beginning of the month, this is what we're going to assume. Let's see how well it goes, because we are going to start where we're at to start building solid habits to put us in the steps that we need to get us where we need to go. We know what the end result needs to be. Once we kind of get the past and kind of get a feel of what we're working towards, now we can start looking at the future and start making strategies to figure out where we're going. So if that $5,000 in a month, and already you're at the first week of the month and you've not made 2 cents, we probably need to start working on some things. But what do we need to do? Well, if I need $5,000 coming in my business, what do I offer? What am I offering? Okay, do I have a package? Do I have something that I offer? What is my average client? Start there. Once again, let's start where we're at. Take a look at the clients that you're currently working with. Average out, which an average simply means add them all together and divide it by the number of them. So if you're working with 5 clients and you're getting $500, your average is $100. There we go. So now we have a starting point. So I know that we are looking at, okay, I've got $500 coming in, so it's an average of $100. Okay, if that maintains, how many clients do I need to get to the $5,000? Now we're talking math, but math we can work with. It's not emotion, it's now numbers. And numbers can help us make good decisions, and they will also drive some behaviors if you're willing to listen to them. So now we know that we need that. So all you're going to do, if you need $5,000, you already have 500 coming in, so it's $4,500. If it's 100, guess what? I need 45 more clients. Okay, now I know what I'm up against. So now I have 2 choices. I know that I need 45 clients to make this month. Oh boy, that might be a little overwhelming. Maybe not. So either I need 45 clients at 100, or I need, what do I need? Do I need to break that up, and maybe do I have to work on a package that maybe I got to increase some prices? Do I need to offer something different? Now I can start thinking, what is it going to take to be able to get me to this goal that my budget is telling me that I need to go with? I already know what I spent last year. I know that's what came in. I know it's possible. I know it's something that I can start and aim towards. Now that I know this, now I can start looking and saying, okay, what do I need to do? What strategies do I need to implement? What direction do I need to go? Now, I need 45 clients. Okay, how am I going to get this 45 clients? What networking am I going to do? Now think about it. If I know I need 45 clients to get my goal of $5,000, a number of clients, and I've got this all in the back of my head because I've looked at it. It's here. And it's also on paper and in your software. Okay, I can't get away from it. It's gonna stick with me. When I go to networking, is it just an opportunity to visit some friends? Or am I going there for a reason to partner up with some referral partners? Am I going in to look for clients? What am I going there? I'm going to be a lot more intentional in that networking. Because last time I checked, there's only 24 hours in a day. So we've got to use those 24 hours in the most productive fashion possible. So now we can start looking at things. We can start looking to see what we need to do, what direction we need to go, and what strategies do we need to put in place so that we can get to where we want to go. And a lot of it boils right back down to budgeting for Benjamin, because you want to put your budget in place so that you are your eye on the goal and you know exactly the steps you need, at least the first couple, to get you where you need to go. And that's what's so crucial when it comes to this. And that's the first step, and what we really need to do and take a step back and do. And if you need some help with that, or if you've got some questions, I'd love to have a further conversation with you. You guys are always more than welcome. I focus on Breakthrough to Profits, where we actually take a look at your situation, and I help you find one strategy that you can implement today to start moving towards tomorrow in the financial direction that you want to do. If you're interested in booking that call, I would love you to jump over to chatwithjanet.com and just book a Breakthrough to Profits call with me. Let's take an opportunity to figure out how can we focus and move towards finding those Benjamins instead of the Hamiltons. Now, of course, you get enough Hamiltons, that's kind of irrelevant, but, let's shoot for the stars and see what we can do and get the system in place so that it can get there and actually set our foundation so that we can handle that comes our way, so that we can handle the challenges, because guaranteed challenges are coming, guaranteed. But that's okay, because it's time to excel. It is time to excel, and you can do it. And the first step is start with the budget. Figure out where you're at right now. Get a plan so that you know what strategies, or at least the direction that you need to go. And then get the support so that you can start moving towards those goals. Because I'd love you to join with me. It is time to excel, where we inspire and ignite the possibilities. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It was great to have you here. Don't forget to tune back in next week. We are here every Wednesday at 11:30. And also do not forget to put on your calendars, second Wednesday of every month is, of course, our virtual Lunch and Learn. I would love to see you there. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.